Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate with Ryan. So excited to be with you guys on a Saturday, and thank you for taking time out of your busy weekend to spend time with us. Always a great opportunity to talk a little real estate in East Tennessee. Got a great show for you, as always. Got several topics I want to talk about. So much going on. Big day here in football. Later this evening in Neyland, big game, Oklahoma. Hope to see you guys there this evening. Super shout out to our fans and some of Vol Nation that liked and shared our post. And we're sending two groups parking pass. And we just had somebody come in and get one of their autographed footballs from 𝐘𝐆𝐄𝐍𝐶. So it's been a busy week. Men are back in action. A little basketball. Lady Vols are back in action. And the real estate market is heating up. Fed's just lowered 1/4 point. We'll talk about that, how it's going to affect the housing market in East Tennessee. And we'll talk a little bit about why everybody's moving to Knoxville. So we had a big surge during the COVID. Is that still the case? Also, second half, we'll talk a little bit about your VA loan, veterans, very popular loan for our great veterans. How to use your VA entitlement. Can you use it for a second home? How about retirement? We'll talk about that. And then if we get time towards the end of the show, we'll talk about 2025 to 2030. What are the 5-year projections? What are we seeing with AI, how that's coming into play? Where do we see jobs? We saw Amazon just laid off a bunch of people. How's that going to affect the real estate housing market? That and so much more. But before we get going, as always, we got our congrats, new listings, and a lot of things going on. New listed down in Regas condo down there, unit 219. Just hit the market. Balcony, patio access. It's really one of my favorite units over there. Decor. They did a great job with the decor over there, so make sure you check that property out. That's on ryancoleman.org. 725 Highway 25 in White Pine. Great property. Little pond in the front, acreage. It has a little charm to it. Great opportunity with a 3-car garage. Make sure you check that property out. New listing in Chamberlain Avenue in Rockwood. That's a renovation. Great investor, colleague of ours, putting that property in the market. Make sure you check that out. Quiet little area out there. You're going to love to look at the updates that have been done there. Loudon Circle, in Andersonville, going on the market. 813 South New Era Road in Sevierville, new cabin coming on the market. Congrats to our great sellers of 2876 Pine Haven Drive. Not once, but twice. Sold it the second time and got some great new buyers and able to get that to closing. Super excited for them. That's the second property we sold for them. Had a conversation with them yesterday. Won't get into personals, but he said, Ryan, I'm so glad to get this done. By selling this property, if I choose not to work anymore, I can be on the path to retirement and debt-free. And so super excited for him and glad to be a part of that. We'll talk about more of our Vols here on the 60-second Vol update on the second half of the show. Like I said, so much going on. Kind of want to get into the show. And if you're tuning in for the first time, this is Real Estate with Ryan. My name is Ryan Coleman, owner, founder of Hometown Realty, along with my lovely wife, April Coleman. We do this show every weekend, every Saturday. We talk about the Knoxville housing market, what's going on in the market, what's going on in real estate news, how can we help you, and how can we be of any service to you. We like to say that we're always there to be helpful. But in the market we're in now, it's always some challenges. Some interest rates are stubborn, inflation is high, tariffs have some impact. So we'll be talking all about that. But you can find us on our partners every Saturday. You can see us on Talk Radio 92.3 FM at 11 a.m. Of course, we're streaming on their social channel on Facebook, so you can catch us there live as well. News Talk 98.7, 1 p.m. Check us out there every Saturday. And, of course, Spotify, Facebook, X, you name it, we're streaming live. Always can catch Real Estate with Ryan. So a lot going on. I hope you're doing well. It is that time of the year. Hard to believe it's November. I know it's like my wife said yesterday, Ryan, it is Christmas in just a couple weeks. Actually, it was 8 weeks to Christmas just a couple of days ago. Hope everybody had a great time. Halloween, a little trick-or-treating, doing that with the kiddos. Let's talk about the housing market, though. That's most important. Talking about why people are moving here. And we've seen that over the last 4 or 5 years. Have we seen that slow down? Yes. But I think that's kind of relevant of how I was driving home the other day, leaving some of the neighborhoods, and I live in Hardin Valley, and you just kind of see the growth over the last couple of years. And you can see the new construction. We have the townhomes and things like that are out there. And so you see the buzz and the desire from so many people coming from out of state in this area. And that's kind of what part for some of the locals that have been here for a while, just the affordability as a whole. So affordability is probably one of the biggest things that we're going to be finding, but the demand keeps going. Kind of not to jump into our segment and the projections for 2025-26, but as we project towards the end of the year, it's safe to say that experts are saying, hey, 2025 all the way to 2030 may be an opportunity to increase by 10%. So it doesn't look like right present affordability is there, but now the next 18 to 12 months may be your best opportunity in the housing market. The market as a whole, we're doing a little bit of a survey the other day. 48% of realtors surveyed across the country said that they saw a little bit of a softening of the market. 89% we talked about had buyers that had made, or sellers that made some adjustments in the pricing. You all feel it. You see the housing market, but the interest rates just changed. So a lot of projections that now we're under 6%. Actually, Zillow came out and said that we just showed 5.99% for our area. And then, of course, the last 7-year ARM is right about 6%. So that's really good compared to almost 7 or 8 months ago that we were close to 7s or even hovering above 7%. What does it mean for us locally here in the East Tennessee housing market? Lower monthly payments, lower interest rates. I talked about it last show. It doesn't sound like a big difference, but it truly is. Going a half point, quarter point on an average $450,000 house from 6.5 to 6% could be 4%. 4%, $400 in your payment. So a $400 monthly payment, depending on your type of your loan, is a big deal. And one recent news article that came out said that Tennessee's buyers have seen their monthly payments jump from 55 to 80% in 2022. It also affects the housing market on the rental aspect. The median price in the Knoxville housing market was hovering right about $318,000. I was say $319,000, which is down, 4.1 year over year. So still seeing a little bit of a sluggish. You're seeing the market respond to the affordability factor. I think you're seeing that on some of the new construction with some of the incentives and things that are going on in the housing market. Days on market is not a surprise. We're increased about 57 days on market on average. Inventory is improving, so that's an up note. In the mid of 2025, the market was shifting towards more of a balanced market, and we're seeing inventory shift between 40 and 57%. But we still have an absorption rate, and if you don't know what an absorption rate is, it's if another home was not sold, no other inventory was taken as of tomorrow, November 1st, to the end of the year, we have 4 to 4.5 months of inventory, of supply. Say a balanced market is 6 months of inventory, balanced supply. So we're well below an oversaturation of inventory. So what is the narrative? What does that appeal? What does that look like versus 2021-22? Now, we're not in a crash. We're not in that. Obviously, for sellers, I think now one of the biggest opportunities we have is the opportunity that if you're priced right and your home is compelling and the product is good, right? It's going to sell. And there's separation from other homes that are on the market in today's economy. For sellers, there's an opportunity, especially this fall. I think moving forward, we have our great clients that are on the market. Some of our luxury properties, I've named a bunch of them that were coming on the market. From November to February is go time. And it is usually where we have corporate executives, people that are being transferred into the area. They need to find something by January 1. And a lot of our competition, especially in the higher end, but this is move-up buyers as well, guys. Move-up buyers, we're seeing that as well, that they have taken some of the properties off the market. Did a survey of some of the agents in the area, and about 40% of people were frustrated with the process and we're pulling it off the market. But that's a great opportunity for sellers that we've seen. Less pressure, less competition means a higher price for us, and then our actually home gets sold versus as we hit the spring market. Obviously, the rates are affordability factor, but we're expecting a little bit of a push as we're going into 2026. I think if you've been watching in the housing market, there's several groups in the housing market what this would affect. and we'll kind of carry this on over into the second half. But what is the rates lower? How does it affect everybody? Obviously, more affordability, especially if you're in the market that you need to move. We got my father-in-law, April's dad. He's going to be selling. And so the timing couldn't be perfect that if you're going to be borrowing money, that the rates are now going to dip below 6. We'll talk about our VA loans. Some of those are even low 5s. So these are opportunities that we've not seen in the last year. So first-time buyers, affordability is here. We'll see you here on the second half, Real Estate with Ryan.
When speed matters, every second counts.
Wow, that was fast.
In real estate, speed is an advantage.
In football, speed is crucial.
In softball, speed is game-changing.
If you want your home sold fast,
Trust Ryan Coleman and his team at Hometown Realty for fast results.
Thanks, guys. Go Big Orange.
Hometown Realty is East Tennessee's #1 real estate group and a proud sponsor of the Vols.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. The real estate market's changing every day. You need to know your home's value in today's market. Text your home address to 290-2290 for an instant, no obligation home evaluation. That's 865-290-2290. And remember, when you're ready to sell, we have a guaranteed sale program to get you in your next home stress-free. Trust your hometown experts. We've helped thousands of people just like you. All right, we're back at it, Real Estate with Ryan's second half. So sorry to come off of that break. I was getting into so much of the topics, and they go quickly. Just not enough time here, Real Estate with Ryan. And thank you guys for tuning back in with us. We're talking about the interest rates. Fed Jerome Powell decided to meet quarter a point. So I figure that's a hot topic. I know we talk about interest rates a lot, and we're not going to spend the whole second half on that, but it's affordability. And I thought it was so important because that's what we're looking for. We talked about how many people that were coming to the Knoxville area and how is that boom still happening? And it still is. So many people that are moving from out of state. I think you see the license plates, right? So our area is becoming well diverse in different states. And that's an opportunity to open up the housing market like we've not seen in a while. So we know that where things are sitting on the market a little bit longer than we want. That being said, as the rates change, I talked to a great client the other day, and I said, listen, real estate is cycles and always comes in spurts, at least specifically our office. This is the busiest time of the year for us. It really is. I mean, we got the holidays, we got Vol Nation football, we got basketball, we got the Lady Vols action, and then not long here we'll have softball and men's baseball. We got so much going on, but we're into that peak season. And everybody thinks about spring market, the housing market is this peak. And it is. It is the time. It's where the flowers, the weather change. But right now is go time. And as I was talking about in the first half, some of our luxury properties that we're seeing put on the market is between November and February where we see these sales. Specifically on the domino effect, and we'll talk about that in a sec, that domino effect where homes are sitting longer in other states as well. Now they go under contract. The challenge, right? The challenge is, we talked about that in the first segment, 40% are pulling them off the market. Don't do that. Don't do that. I know it's frustrating the home's not selling as quick as you want, but if you're off the market, nobody knows you're for sale. And when that home sells out of state, Ohio, Michigan, California, New Jersey, wherever, Texas, they're going to find something for their family. They're going to have to look on the market and what's active. And so it's so important as the interest rates change that we're working our marketing, we're reaching out to buyers, and we're available in the market. Before we get going too, Lamar, I've got our 60-second vol update. So much going on today, and thank you for tuning in, and thank you for being patient with us. Again, like I said, it's that time of season. 60-second vol update. Drum roll, please. All right, we got a lot going on here. It's big day. I don't need to tell you. 7:30. We're coming back from Kentucky. It's going to be a huge game. Dark mode. Neyland Stadium, Oklahoma. Big Sooners are in town. Big game. Make sure to see you guys out there. Men's basketball, full action. Mercer Bears, Food City Arena. November the 3rd at 7 p.m. Got the Lady Vols in action. East Tennessee State on November 7th. And that's what we got for our Vol update. Hometown Realty, proud sponsor of the Vols. Go Big Orange. So much going on in that time, talking about that move-up market. How's that move up market going to happen? So when this happens in cycles. So when that property sells, we've got to be on the market, and that's a great opportunity. Moving forward, going into the holidays. It's hard to say going into the holidays. What groups will the interest rates and how will they affect? So some of our groups are first-time buyers. You've got a property that is on the market. This is an opportunity really for our first-time buyers and probably last 12, 14 months really to get out in front of it. The government shutdown has kind of hurt some of our first-time buyers in our loan programs. So I was talking with a great lender yesterday. We're working on a closing. Our FHA and VA is still working, but our rural housing development, our USDA, Tennessee housing development, things like that, they're not funding. They're on hold. So that's freezing up some of the sales as well. Our move-up buyers, if you're selling your current home and buying a larger one, you need to watch both sides right now. What you get when you sell your home and what you pay when you're moving in. And we've got a family member we're helping with that. And one of the biggest things is, in any market, no matter where we're at, if you're selling and you're buying, it's very hard to have a great seller market and a great buyer market at the time. I've never seen it. Okay, so it's going to be one of the other. So it's a great opportunity now that we've seen in the last 12 months because as a seller, there's more inventory operational on the marketplace, more opportunities to see, and sellers are more reasonable in their pricing versus 12, 14 months ago. So that's an opportunity. And if you're going to borrow money, now is more affordable than it was as beginning part of the year. Investors, rental demand is still strong in the East Tennessee housing market, so make sure you keep that into play. Returns may not explode where you want to see them. A lot of, we just made an offer on a property that was renovated, or he's going to renovate. It was a flipper. If you guys know where that term flipper means, but that's where they take a house, buy it hopefully at discount, and turn around and try to resell it for a profit. Was literally we got into a bidding war on this property. It's back on the market. My clients live in the neighborhood. They're selling their home and they're going to buy one that's a one level. And as soon as they bought it, it's back on the market for a couple bucks more, not huge. I'd say 3 or 5%. Nothing was done to it. So it looks like the numbers that he projected are not there. Hopefully we can get that worked out. But looking at the housing market now, those are opportunities for investors that the returns are not there for the flipping. So a lot of opportunity goes on working on cash flow. Look at location. And now more than ever, look at long-term holds. Real estate is always on the long-term hold, right? The gain, sometimes you make the money on the flip or the quick renovation. But real estate wealth is really made on long-term investments. So really look at your focus, dial in that as an investor. I'm talking to a lot of my investors out there. And long-term hold, rentals. I've got a great client of mine. He's doing the same thing. We're going to help him rent one. Wanting to buy, if you're thinking about it, do not wait. I think this is one of the things I circled. One of the big things that we were chatting is everybody's waiting for the rates to drop or a market crash. But, obviously you'll face higher prices and competition. So the market crash, nobody really knows. We don't believe that that's going to happen. But the challenge of balancing the market 100% perfectly, it's almost impossible. The biggest thing you can do is if you're buying and selling, if you have a need to buy or sell or relocate, job transfer, or need to downsize, is to do it now while you can, to be in control, to turn down that offer that if it doesn't make sense. The challenge now, I think, is the best time that we've seen the rates adjust, is probably the best time we've seen in the last 12 to 18 months. It really is. And so I think if you're going to do that, it's a great time now. Start looking at some DIY projects. If you're selling your home, some things to be working on around the house, it is that time before it gets really, really cold. And an opportunity in the housing market to be looking. We've got a great tool on our website, costs you nothing. We've got one of our apps. It's free. Just look up Hometown Realty and Real Estate. We're on the app on Google and all the app stores. Get on our website. Get on our app. Start the search now. It's really helpful if you're selling. Want to see what's going on around you as well. Check out our app there. It's a good opportunity, and we can help you anyway on the back end there. Any questions, just message us through the app. So check out our app. I think you'll find that beneficial. Let's talk about our veterans, our great veterans in the housing market. We know the rates are lowering. There's an opportunity to use your VA eligibility. Some may be aware of what you can do with that, and some can't. So I want to cover some of that I thought would be helpful today. Can you buy a second home with your VA loan? VA loans always are intended for primary residence, and they cannot be used for vacation homes or investment properties, but sometimes they can. We'll talk about how that can be done. You can use your VA with your full entitlement if you're paying off the loan or even if you're refinancing. VA loans do allow you to purchase up to a 4-unit property as long as you're going to live in one of those units. So that's so important. Let's talk about a vacation home. I get some comments like that. We're in a vacation market in Sevierville and things like that, and in Florida, not far from us, and asked if we can do a vacation loan or investment on a VA. The short answer is no. Most VA loans want you to move in within the first 60 days, but there is a chance for if veterans plan to retire within the 12 months of the purchase, you do have that opportunity to purchase that as a short-term rental. So that's something that I kind of looked in and wanted to talk to a great client that called in. Keep in mind with the VA loan, your full entitlement and your guarantee, if you paid the loan off or refinance, for a non-VA loan, you haven't paid it off, you get a partial entitlement. So you have to pay it off to get the full entitlement. Now, when President Trump was in 2016, and I have to go back and check, but there is no VA loan limit. So keep that in mind. We did one that was in excess of $2 million. So lots of opportunities for our veterans out there, and rates have now lowered. So hope you've enjoyed Real Estate with Ryan. Enjoy spending time with you this weekend. Enjoy the game this weekend. Have an amazing weekend. We'll see you back next weekend. Take care.